officially the final webinar for the Insight series for 2025. I hope that everybody's having a good start to your, what is today? Thursday, and a good sort of end towards the November season as well too. It's nice to have you all with us today. My name is Danilo Acquisto, and I get to be your host for what is going to be a very interesting webinar for today. I've noticed we had well over 1,000 registrations for today's conversation, and so it seems like the industry is ready to have a conversation about the relationship between agencies and brands, and I'm very much looking forward to that conversation today. We've got absolute powerhouses today, and I'm so grateful to have the Red and Yellow School of Creative Business. They are very generously partnering on this particular episode, given the fact that their role of funneling opportunities into these both agencies and brands, is such a critical part of their work that they do as an organization. But two, also something that the agency world, the brand world is having lots of conversations about, not only here in South Africa, but also all around the world. And so we've got three exceptional humans on our call today. I'll start on the far right-hand side of your screen. You can see Nkanyezi Masango is there. He's a Chief Creative Officer. He will be leading the conversation as our moderator for today. And then he's joined by two sort of titans in our industry, Alex Goldberg, creative partner at Ogilvy, and one of their clients, Bridget Harpur, the head of marketing for Volkswagen. Their relationship extends a very, very long time. And I do know that there's going to be a long discussion today about particularly how they managed to retain and manage that relationship over such an extended period of time. What makes good working partnerships work? And that discussion will be happening today as well. So if you haven't yet already reached out in the chat box, I do suggest you do so already. We'd love to be able to hear from you. Sort of what are you up to today? Where are you joining us from? And are you relatively new to the Insight series? We'd love to hear from you in the WhatsApp, in the chat box. But then also on the far right-hand side of your screen, there should be a little opportunity to submit some Q&As. So if you guys are wanting to submit any Q&As, you're welcome to obviously pop those through there. As the discussion is unfolding, perhaps some questions arise from you that you want us to ask in the discussion. We will do that. But I just want to inform you that we will be having a slightly different format for today. Usually there would be three speakers. I would introduce them all individually, but today we thought this is just important to have one panel discussion. And so the team are going to have their panel discussion. I won't be involved in that conversation, but I will be moderating a Q&A for about 10 minutes after that panel discussion to answer any of the questions that are burning for you as well too. So please do pop those across. And welcome, Andrew. Nice to see you there in the chat as well too. Okay, today's topic is one at the heart of what really makes great marketing. We're focusing on agency-client partnerships, looking at the different models. We're looking at how to foster trust, what breaks trust, how to foster it, and looking at creativity as well too. How do we foster creativity in those relationships as well? So briefs are tight. We know budgets are even tighter at this stage. Really trying to find the right commercial models for businesses that make sense for both parties to deliver our best work and be able to do stuff that really moves the needle in marketing is all about these partnerships that need to be developed. And there are lots of questions about the agency model and how brands and agencies fit together. All of this is going to be addressed in detail today. And I think it's going to be a very fruitful conversation. I note that the session is recorded and we will have the full recording available to anybody who would like access to it. It'll be public on the YouTube channel, but you do need to be on our newsletters. So if you're not yet subscribe to the IAB newsletters to receive access to the webinar itself, please do go to the website and just subscribe to the newsletter and all the details will come. If you're already subscribed, you will automatically get access to this recording after the fact. I've mentioned the Q&A, so looking forward to seeing what kind of questions you have for our esteemed panel for today. And I think we can dive straight into the conversation. We need to talk about the economics of collaboration, talk about partnership dynamics, and talk about creativity in a short-term world where everything is sitting on very short timelines and very short, even shorter budget line items as well too. And I'm sure a lot of you will find the conversation pretty fruitful today. First up, let's meet our moderator, Nkanyezi Masango. He is a creative leader with over 20 years of experience across continents. He's held leadership roles at agencies like TBWA, at Y&R, King James, Dentsu Creative. He's judged D and AD. He's spoken at Cannes Lions and founded Blackboard Community. It's an initiative exposing underprivileged students to the advertising world as careers, which not a lot of us have the opportunity to be able to experience more of. So it's wonderful to have him here with us today. You're a true champion of creativity and inclusion in our industry. And I know that you're also in a big state of transition for yourself too. So thank you for making time for us today to come and facilitate our panel. How are you doing this morning, Nkanyezi?
Thank you, Danilo. Very good. And looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, ditto. You're in the hot seat today. Very important topic, and I'm sure lots of very strong opinions here. Joining Nkanyezi in the conversation today is Bridget Harpur. She's the head of marketing at Volkswagen Group Africa. Bridget's fearless approach to collaboration is really what's helped her shape one of the longest-standing agency client relationships that I think the country's ever seen. She's a marketer who balances bold creativity with strategic clarity, and under her leadership, VW continues to push creative boundaries and inspire trust in a constantly evolving market. So Bridget, nice to have you with us today. Yeah, how are you doing this morning?
Thanks, Dania. Yeah, good morning. I'm doing fantastic. Thanks.
Yeah, good stuff. And your leadership on some of the campaigns you guys have been working on have just been exceptional. So yeah, thank you for all of the great content you put out into the world as a brand and business. And speaking of those partnerships and what makes them work, Alex Goldberg, creative partner at Ogilvy, South Africa, joins us as our third and final panelist for today. He was recently ranked as the #1 creative director in Africa and the Middle East. And that specifically was labeled that as the 2024 One Show Awards. He oversees creative output for brands like VW, Audi, and Coronation. With a career spanning continents and an impressive list of accolades from Cannes to Lourdes, Alex's focus remains on building brave, honest partnerships that produce great work. And throughout all of that, Alex also has one of the darkest senses of humor I've ever seen, and continues to cheerfully, skip through what is a very chaotic world. Welcome, Alex.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Hi, everyone.
Yeah. Nice product placement in the back there with your cute little VW van. I love it. It's looking so good. Awesome.
That thing.
All right.
See it.
I haven't even noticed it. Oh, you little sucker.
Right, guys, I'm going to leave you guys to it. You've got 40 minutes to have a really fruitful discussion about these agency brand partnerships, what makes them fruitful, how do we foster creativity, how do we foster trust in these industries. You're absolute giants, and I'm sure it'll be a fantastic conversation. And then I'll join you guys for about 10 minutes of a Q&A towards the end of the session itself. So, Nkanyezi, I'm going to leave the floor over to you. And yeah, good luck with the chat, guys.
Thank you, Danilo. Bridget and Alex, I made an observation earlier this week that, when I think of big client agency relationships, the names that come to mind are Nike, Wyden, and Apple and Sade/TBWA. And then, of course, Ogilvy and VW, South Africa, which interestingly has been a much longer relationship than those two. I think that a lot of these relationships, one thing that they have in common is that they've yielded some really, really iconic work. And I'd like to really dig deep into how you, Ogilvy and VW, have managed to sustain the excellence over such a long time. But just to start with you, Bridget, I've heard you mention that you prefer the term partner as opposed to client. Can you unpack the difference between a partner versus a client?
Yeah, cool. Well, I don't know if you know this, but I started my career a long, long time ago in advertising.
Right.
So I've worked at FCB, also Ogilvy, Addison Want, J. Walter Thompson, etc. And it always really got under my skin when the narrative was because the client said so, and because the client is always right, and because the client, etc. And I think it's actually so wrong, because the client isn't always right. The partner model definitely works better, in my opinion, because we've got almost like, as lofty as it sounds, we kind of share our losses and our wins. So if we consider ourselves to be partners, it means that we can spar about an idea, we can debate it, and I don't always win the debate because I'm the client. It's part of, I guess in a strange way, embracing diversity. You've got a whole lot of different opinions in the room, different types of people, different thoughts and kind of creative triggers. And that yields much better work than because I said so, which is more like a parent-child kind of relationship. It definitely, in my opinion, this is not just Ogilvy and Volkswagen, but on other businesses that I've worked on in my time in advertising, has always been a stronger relationship when it was a partner model versus client and agency. if that makes sense.
And I think also just, I mean, it's the power of language. I think when you, even just the idea of, because I know sometimes in agencies, they'll always go, oh my gosh, the client said this, or, that kind of language already kind of creates more sense of anxiety than looking at it from a partner perspective. Like as an agency, it allows the agency to feel like they have more ownership and a real stake in the client's business as well when you're a partner. So yeah, I think that's a great point,
Alex obviously disagreed with me so vehemently. He's left the room.
Left the room. He's like, oh. But
you're so right. Words are so important, and I think I really hate that whole narrative of because the client said so. It doesn't breed trust, and it doesn't breed good relationships, and it doesn't breed good work, I think.
Also, often the thing that you really want as a client is not, sometimes it's the thing that you don't expect being presented to you is often the best thing than what you thought you wanted. I think if agencies act more from a point of presenting ideas that are right as opposed to what has been requested, it also helps you get to the best work as well, because the best work is not often the thing that has been requested,
100%. I can't tell you countless times, probably all of our award-winning work is, Ogilvy will present back, here's the brief, so here's what you asked for, and then here's what we think you should do. And that's all. It's very, very often is the better path.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
And there's another huge debate that often happens in our industry with regards to creativity versus business. And often there are some marketers who perceive agencies as, just people who are very award hungry and just want to create work that is, self-indulgent and not really adding value to business. What would you say to clients that perceive the desire for creative excellence as something that is on the opposite end of the spectrum to actually adding value to business? Because it's been proven time and time again that the most innovative, groundbreaking work has proven to be best for the brand. How would you respond to that particular debate?
Well, I don't know. To me, it's honestly such a silly debate sometimes because, as you mentioned, there are case studies around the world over and over again that show the business results of better creative. And awards are the way that we measure ourselves against that better creative, So awards are that benchmark. Particularly in today's very cluttered media landscape as well, the creative product is so critical for a brand to break through. I mean, in the old days, you would slap something on TV and you'd be guaranteed of awareness, even if it was, good or bad. You knew you could put your message out there and you could be seen. Now it's so competitive that it is absolutely business critical to have an outstanding creative product. And just on the awards topic, so you kind of asked two questions in there, but on the awards topic, everybody likes being recognized for good work, right? That's it triggers me quite a lot when people say that awards aren't important to them, because that's rubbish. Everybody likes the affirmation that the job that you've done has been a good job. But the way that I explain it to people that aren't in the creative industry and that kind of, like my mother, for example, she'll often say to me, "Oh, congratulations on that. What was that again?" She doesn't understand it all. And I always compare it to like the Paris catwalk in the fashion industry, that it's a proper flex from the fashion industry to show what could be. Here's where our thinking, here are the ideas that are going to lead the fashion industry for the next season. And maybe you won't necessarily wear, a meat dress, but it shows you what could be. And it also can show you kind of the beautiful side of creativity and how creativity can really drive positivity and change in society and, and all of those kind of things. So normally when I explain it like that, comparing it to fashion, people kind of go, "Oh, okay, I see it." But then from a commercial point of view, in the business environment, I see huge value for it because it's important in the agency world. So you want to, as a creative, you want to work for an agency that is ranked highly, that is recognized, that is, getting all the points and is recognized as one of the top creative agencies. So that by sheer fact of getting the awards, you're also absorbing or attracting better talent. So, as I say, there's a commercial benefit to brands as well behind backing awards.
I really love the fashion analogy. Like it's so spot on, and I think that to your point, awards do show what's possible and keep us pushing the innovation as well, so that we're constantly making work that is better, more relevant, and and being future facing. But I love the fashion analogy. I'll use that one for my family as well.
You're welcome.
So the other thing is, and this is more just a practical application of longevity when it comes to a client and agency relationship. How do you? I think often one of the challenges, in a world where you find CMOs who move on to other brands and, there's often changes. How does one, especially in a position like yours, protect a relationship or at least have some kind of succession plan in terms of actually transferring the relationship within your organization where where the agency is concerned? How does one do that? And is it even possible to do that?
That's a great question. I think in the context of Ogilvy and Volkswagen, I'm extremely lucky in that I stepped into a culture that specifically references my job or our greater team's job as to just polish the Volkswagen badge. So you step into a brand, it's healthy, it's desirable in the country, but your job is to polish it, make it better, and leave it in better condition for the next person behind you. And we've got that sort of culture is transferred to and from Ogilvy. I don't know who came up with it first, probably Ogilvy. But where we all recognize and we have this awareness that the relationship is not Bridget and Alex or Bridget and Vicky or whatever. The relationship is Ogilvy and Volkswagen. So it's bigger than an individual. So you kind of step into the job. And if I were to leave tomorrow, I'm pretty confident that the rest of the team on my side really understands the deep value that our creative agency brings to us, and that really strong relationship continues because it's bigger than the individual. Oh, Alex, thanks for
welcome back.
Yeah. No. Trust the creatives to miss the deadline.
Yeah, but now you'll come in and say something brilliant and all will be forgiven.
Sorry, guys. No, I hope Internet, South Africa. God. Apologies.
All good.
So where were we?
Where were we?
Yeah, so I think that's a perfect segue to the next question, which is the elephant in the room. Last year VW went out for pitch, And I think a lot of people in the industry were a little bit skeptical, like, is this even real? You know, what are the chances of VW leaving Ogilvy? Is this actually a real thing or not? But I'm sure it was. But would you say, was there a real appetite for change? And how did what helped Ogilvy retain the business?
Yeah, so look, a couple of questions in there. We weren't necessarily looking for change. It's just, as a good corporate business, we are committed to relooking the roster every 5 years and benchmarking against the rest of the industry. So by looking and comparing agencies against each other, it ensures that we get what we need out of the relationship, which is the best partners for our business, which is quite dynamic right now. That, motor industry is evolving and changing, and we need the best partner that can kind of set us up for business success. And the honest truth is that procurement is a reality of the corporate world, and we take governance very seriously. No one's safe from the rules, and in 5 years we will do it all over again. But it was a really interesting exercise for me on a personal level, because I've been with Ogilvy for so long, and even though I did come from an agency background, it was still like really encouraging to see all the other dynamics of the other agencies that are out there and see what the different focus areas are, what the different service offerings are. And I suppose most importantly, what I enjoyed the most was really just engaging with South Africa's top creative talent. It's probably the most fun you can have, is talking to creative people about your brand. But your question was how Ogilvy managed to retain it. And I think what we were looking for was quite a specific need. We needed a depth of brand building experience across premium, so that's for the Audi brand, and volume for Volkswagen, and then sort of business to business for our commercial vehicles. So we needed a creatively driven business solution that, somebody that could prove that they had impact in a very dynamic, shifting business. And this was across all of our markets. So I'm not just responsible for South Africa, it's across the continent. So we used the IAS, this pitch consultant, who you should all be familiar with, and whittled down a shortlist from about 50 different credentials, and then met with the shortlist through a couple of rounds, using a broad panel internally from Audi Commercial Vehicles, our managing director, etc., and then also a forum in our parent company in Germany because of the size of the tender. And I guess at the end of the day, we were looking for kind of two key things. Who are the people that are going to gear us for success in the next 5 years? And which is the company that can steer us to meet our sales goals, which are, as I keep mentioning, becoming, it's a dynamic, shifting environment at the moment. So Ogilvy won the business, not necessarily, sorry, Alex, because they're the best agency in South Africa. That wasn't the criteria. They won the business because they're the best fit for the Volkswagen Group Africa in terms of our specific needs. Yeah. But just if there are any of the agencies on the line, I just want to, show my gratitude. It was really, I really do understand and acknowledge that participating in a pitch is not just an hour out of your day and a quick PowerPoint. It's your soul into it. So it was really, it was a great process, and thank you to everyone that participated, including you, Nkanyezi.
No, it was fun, and look, I think ultimately the thing that brings us together is the actual work, the relationships and everything else. It's all about how does it influence the work, and work is typically a result of trust. I'm quite interested in the work that you've done, and this is for you, Alex, where you feel that this has really pushed the limits from a trust perspective, where you really needed, you know, the Bridgets and everyone else to really have faith. You know, if you could share any work that really represents that trust and took a lot of faith from your partners. Alex.
Thinking.
Yeah, it's a good thinking face, but yeah, it looks like we've been communicating on WhatsApp. He's having real random internet challenges today. So yeah, if you see him moving, then I think he's here. If he's not moving, then I think you guys can proceed to have a discussion until his internet returns.
No worries. Bridget, perhaps maybe you could talk about the work that comes to mind where you feel like you really, really needed to
I'll be honest, there's a long list, because I think what Ogilvy are famous for is, as I said earlier, here's the work that meets the brief. And then, by the way, we had this, and they throw a hand grenade in the room, we had this crazy little idea. I mean, we've got something right now. We've just worked on a brand partnership with KFC, which actually went live yesterday. And basically the brief was, let's give away 31 Polo Vivos. So give away a car every day in December, giving away a car. This is KFC's competition. And basically the idea that they've come up with is, let's give it to one winner. And then she's been determined already, and then she will distribute the prizes to South Africa. So yeah, there's a very long list of challenging work to kind of imagine and create the success in your head. One of them, when I just started in this role about 5 years ago, we had that campaign, I don't know if you remember it, for the Polo launch that was all in the metaverse with NFTs. And that was probably one of the most terrifying offline approvals I have ever been to in my career, because it was just grey and there were these weird little like fake robot bodies walking around, and every now and then a car, and you had to just imagine the 8 weeks of post-production that was to come, and you had to commit to that offline. So I mean, that was some time ago, but in that instance there was quite a lot of risk, because that was a model launch, and there was, that's our top selling product, and there's a proper brand and sales risk if it all kind of fell apart. And then we've got other projects like Blind Spot and Night School that have been sort of these love child projects that have been developed over time, that also required not necessarily a lot of faith from us, but really required the two teams to work together, including our PR agency. So actually it required 3 teams to work together. For, in the example of Night School, this has been a 2-year process where 3 partners have had to work consistently together, with people like the Department of Transport and the RTMC and government bodies. So it didn't necessarily require a lot of trust on our part, but it really required the 3 teams to work together for a very long time. Alex, we're talking about projects that have scared you. If you're back. Are you back?
No. Yeah, I'm so sorry. This is quite embarrassing, but I'll talk. Can you see me or hear me? And is my face moving? No.
You're frozen,
put your
but
camera
maybe put your camera off. It's okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Do you want to just talk about, we'll just talk about the work, and if you want to share it, especially Night School, which I know it had a lot of moving parts and required quite a lot of faith as well. Do you want to talk about that or share it?
Just let you know, we can talk about it. I don't think he'll have the bandwidth to be able to share the video.
Right.
We really try to get it to me to play out for you guys, but unfortunately, no sharing will be possible. But Alex, you can talk about it.
I'm stuck in the Stone Age here. Yeah, so night school was, what I love about it, it first of all started from one of our juniors, came into office with this insight that just said we have the highest road accident rates in the world. Majority of accidents happen at night, but we only learn to drive during the day. And it was so obvious. We were like, this is actually such a brilliant thing, and it was a great way for the brand to really demonstrate its role in the lives of all South Africans. So if we were saying we are the people's car, like we have to really be honest about that and going, if we care about the people, it's not just those who drive a Volkswagen. Like we all share the roads. So if we're all better drivers, like if a Volkswagen driver falls asleep at the wheel, that goes into someone else, So it's like if we can make each person just a little bit better, we can create like an actual tangible solution to this issue. The ripple effect on the brand and the actual the perception is vast. So it's that was one of like the most important things when it comes to this campaign. I mean, it took like we, it's not just a campaign. I think initially we were thinking it would be, it needed to be something more. It was like an initiative that actually needed to harness all aspects of Volkswagen's network, and it ended up going global. Meetings with government officials who are saying, hello, comrades, hello, colleagues. And I'm like, oh, geez, I think I swore like 5 times. But those are big things. And in order to create something like that impactful, it can't happen unless you've got a strong relationship, like a true partnership.
And it paid off, it paid off at the end. And, I think speaking of partnerships, there is something else which I think agency people and clients often, there's people often think if you need, like when it comes to personality types, like for instance, Bridget, if Bridget gets on with Alex, is it because of there's a match? In the practical world, and this is for you, Bridget, do you think you need a partner that has a type of personality that matches with you, or can it just be about sharing a vision? Because in reality, you have people who might not be into the same sports or other things that can create a bond between people. And in some cases, I know that there have been relationships that are often lacked real bonding just because of personality types. How important do you think personality types are when it comes to client and agency?
Sure, I would love to tell you that I'm professional enough to rise above personality clashes, but forge ahead, carry on doing your job. No, but I'm not. I think the chemistry, the personal chemistry, I think, not necessarily do I like this person, because it's not about a friendship club, right? It's still business. I think it's the personal chemistry. So if you've got a shared goal, which in the instance of our partnership is the work, and everybody's driven towards the same ambition, that's the thing that drives everything. But yeah, it's undeniable in this industry. And again, just to emphasize, I'm not talking about liking people. I'm talking about having a chemistry or a connection with the culture, organizational culture. You're spending long periods of time at shoots. You are, on revert number 7, revert number 8, revert number 23 sometimes, and you're just not getting there. You're spending a lot of time together. And it is important that you sort of, as a team, you collectively get on. And again, it's not about having braais at each other on a Saturday. It's about having a shared purpose. And yeah, that chemistry is I think that chemistry is critical. And yeah, I just saw somebody say in the chat now, you've got to, I saw it very briefly, but I think what you're saying is you've got to absolutely love your job to get up in the morning and do this job. I mean, we are not just making Excel spreadsheets, for 5 hours a day. This is a blood, sweat, and tears job or industry, whatever. And that dynamic that you have between the client and the agency is fundamental, in my view.
We're human beings first at the end of the day, right?
Sure.
It makes perfect sense. And this is more specific to VW. There's been a lot of conversation, especially in the automotive industry, with regards to a lot of the Chinese brands coming into the market and creating a so-called threat. What do you think is the importance of creativity at a time where you have less established brands, and what role can creativity play to protect the position of VW? This is for Alex as well. Alex, if
I think for us, it's creativity is, it's always about finding innovative solutions to business challenges. And it goes beyond just nice films and like great radio ads. I think now it's such a saturated and competitive market that if you're not thinking creatively across like all your aspects, not just in the media, but the way you connect with consumers, you're going to be dead in the water. It's like it's making everyone have to just box a lot smarter. Like I think what we always kind of go like, what do we have that others don't? We've got this incredible legacy, this great connection with the South African consumer, but you like you can't rest on your laurels. You have to keep working to the people that loved you, because at the end of the day, like people, you want them to love your brand, like love it. It's like it's if I find when people want to, and then like money or whatever it is, they end up having to compromise and trying to justify their decision. I think when it comes to marketing and advertising, it's always a battle between the head and the heart. For us, is to try and make that sweet spot like in the middle there. And like I think with the Chinese brands and like they offer a lot. They've got all the tech. They haven't got the legacy yet. They haven't really earned the trust. We haven't really seen what the like next 5 years are going to look like for them. And we could just easily say like, yeah, then they're going to fall apart because the products aren't good. But that would be naive of us to be more proactive about getting people to really just want to choose this logo versus anything else. And it's creating like we always, I mean, some of the things you need to control the conversations in the braai. For us, it's like creating work that speaks in the rooms that you're not in. And it's like those are everyone talks about storytelling and it's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but every interaction with your brand is a chapter of that story. So it's for us to go like, how can we surprise and the consumer at every point?
And just to build on that, in a category, so motor category, which is such a hugely emotional purchase. I think a lot of people will tell you they buy cars based on facts and figures. It's not. It's such a deeply emotive purchase. So it's absolutely critical for us now more than ever to have that emotional connection with our customers and future customers.
Yeah, and that leads me to another point. Over the last couple of years, in our market specifically, there's been a huge conversation about the decline of the quality of our work as an industry, which, by the way, I have a different opinion on that. But I think that, just based on can performance and or all those other metrics. I'm curious, from your perspective, do you think that part of the challenges of the kind of work that we're doing as a country is related to agency and client relationship issue, or would you say it's a talent issue? And is there an actual issue in the first place, creatively, with regards to the quality of our work?
Alex, you want to go?
I mean, I'll jump. Yeah, I think the brands that believe in creativity and understand its value see the benefits of it, and I think that's why you see the usual suspects appearing every year. I personally don't think we actually make space for the most valuable part of creativity. Like if people truly value it, they'll really like give it the love it needs and the space to interrogate stuff. And it's not about like sometimes you need to have time to say no. Like going, actually, that's not a great idea. Like maybe we need to have a better approach. So I think that the speed of or the need to always be present with work and to be out there is trumping the limit ourselves, like the standards. I think it's I mean, if you look how much content that goes out all the time, like we're putting out so much, and there's like so many different touch points and different media channels and so many different banner ads of various sizes that like they take up a lot of our time. But if we think about like, are we putting our efforts in the best place that makes it newsworthy, that makes people go like, fuck, that is an incredible piece of work. And I think very few places have the culture and the structures to facilitate the best work, if I'm being honest. So like when you've got the likes of Volkswagen and marketers like Bridget and everything, it's you really have to make the best of it. You know, they believe in it, you know, and you have to reward their trust by keep bringing the best work the whole time. So that's where the partnership works really well. Like, yeah, it's like I just think also with the industry, the market has changed so much. And you know, we used to be competing against like each other with other brands, but now you've got like TikTok and just millions of minutes of content being uploaded all the time. So the very nature of the content that consumers are consuming is radically different. And some agencies are like stay on the pulse and are managing to connect to consumers in the right space. Others are just trying to stay stuck to the old ways, and that's just not working anymore.
Yeah, I think just to build on that, I think one of the biggest culprits is 100% what Alex is saying is there's such a volume of work that's needed now to really spread yourself properly in the media environment. So, you know, you're publishing thousands of assets every year. And I think one of my frustrations is that the place where the bulk of your money is going, which is in the digital space, it seems to be acceptable to put the real crap out there because it's all just after that, you know, you're just chasing the clicks. And then you have your brand stuff at the top. And that whole logic just doesn't work for me, because every single piece of creative that you put out there should be seen as an opportunity to engage with your customer and not just chasing clicks. So I think over the last sort of 3-4 years specifically, the metric has become all about, you know, the last click attribution and how many clicks you can get, how many impressions, how many conversions, whatever. And then you can have your pretty brand ad, and then there's all the rest of this stuff. And I don't buy into that. I think the full funnel should all be really, really excellent. Everything that you put out there, because when you think about what advertising is actually doing, it's constantly interrupting people's entertainment. So people are not on TikTok to see your ads. They are on TikTok to be entertained. So how dare you put something in my timeline, in my entertainment? You're cutting into my very precious 90 minutes a day, by the way, that the average South African spends on TikTok. Get back to work, people. How dare you interrupt my timeline with absolute drivel, with poor casting, bad jokes, etc. Everything needs to be at a standard. Every asset that you publish should have the customer in mind, not the click, if you know what I mean. So I'm very passionate about the topic, as you can tell.
No, I mean, I want to add, I think, we are all consumers ourselves. We watch Netflix, we stream, we do all this stuff, and I think for some reason people, when they're creating the work, they just forget that people get bored. Like, you can't create boring work. It's not about ticking all these boxes and just bludgeoning people with messaging. Like, if you really want to create work that people talk about, it has to be entertaining. It has to make them feel something or think about it another way. And I just don't think, I think people have become very happy or complacent, and actually just they'd rather just get it out
Yeah,
than
publish.
actually think about what they put out. And for
Yeah.
me, and like a lot of agencies, the need to feed the machine, I think is one of the most dangerous things ever. Like the term "let's just get it out" is that is death to creativity.
Yeah, instant allergy.
I have so many more questions because I really love this, and there's so many insights here. But I also want to give other members of our audience to ask some questions as well. I know that there's quite a lot of questions. Danilo?
Yes, and Nkanyezi, thank you guys so much for that discussion, and thanks everybody for your patience with the internet glitches. Shame, yeah, Alex seems to be doing okay audio-wise when his camera's off, so let's keep that off for now. The irony of all the prep that goes into these things, I know it was really out of his control. It really happened suddenly, randomly. The amount of swear words that came through on my WhatsApp about what's going on, why this now, how come, where. We love you, Alex, and it's all good. The chat is very supportive. Yeah, there are a number of questions that we wanted to get through today. In fact, a lot of our audience members have been popping questions in the chat. I'd just like to ask those who still find their question relevant to transfer that across to the Q&A, and I'll prioritize the ones that are in that Q&A first. I'm going to start with one that came through from Paul about how can a brand or business get continuous trust from clients? So not only to establish it in the first place, but to continuously maintain trust. And I think you guys covered a bit of this, but Bridget, in your world, how can a brand or business get continuous trust from clients? How do you structure yourselves for continuous trust?
Well, I don't think that you can, because trust builds quite slowly and it is broken very quickly. So I think probably continuity is the antidote, but also 100% honesty. I mean, it's exactly like any, human relationship, within a marriage or with children or whatever. Lie to me once and that trust is broken immediately and will take ages to rebuild. So yeah, honesty, we're all human beings, as Nkanyezi said earlier. We all make mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes. Never embarrassed to admit them. And to always come clean with your errors, and have again, you've got to have time to build a relationship and to build trust, and that trust is earned through proof points. So make some great campaigns, bring some proactive work. I think proactive work really helps a lot if you are struggling. Not all relationships are structured like ours. So if you're battling to build that creative portfolio, bring proactive work, there are also some models that you can employ that are like shared models. So we share our success and we also share our failures. And what that means, it's not just lofty. It means a financial or time commitment from you and a time commitment or financial from me. So we partner on something properly. I'll pay half, you pay half, and then we share the wins or we share the losses, if that makes sense.
I love that. Super cool. Thank you so much. I think it's a really good answer and good and well-rounded about that. And I think it's so funny because I think a lot of the brands or agencies all like, is this client services job to maintain trust and relationship? Is it the outputs of your work that remain trust or relationship? Is it? And it's like this weird ethereal thing that is kind of hard to, it lives everywhere. And it's something that you do need to keep a constant look at. Lillian Ngwenya asked a question. She is from an emerging agency. It says an emergency agency exposed to emerging brands or smaller budgets. What's the best way to build big brand trust culture from day one?
From day one, again, I don't think you can, and I don't think that should be your expectation. As I said, trust is built and earned. And just quickly on the budget thing, I mean, some of Volkswagen's best work, there's definitely a perception out there that Volkswagen has ginormous budgets. Nkanyezi, you're going to discover all of it in January, all of the horrible truths. Some of our most award-winning creative stuff has been off small budgets or has been proactive. Not everything is this big, sexy budget. But what's always at the core is the idea. So if you put the idea at the center of everything, and you craft it, which yes does sometimes require budget, then low budget, high budget, it actually is irrelevant. If you are talking to the right person, you're using a real insight, and there's an idea there, and bearing in mind, as I said earlier, my very passionate point about interrupting somebody's entertainment space, the budget shouldn't be the dictator of great work at all. I feel very strongly about that. But yeah, to answer your question directly about building trust from day one, it's not possible. So you need to show up, have honest discussions, show the client that you are engaged in their business, read up on it, make sure that you understand what's going on from day one in their business, and then have.
If I may take liberties as well, and maybe point this towards you, Nkanyezi, just liberties in the way that the question was asked. I think there is a question in here also related to the size of company and the retained duration, length, contract value. It's much easier to build trust when you have a 3-year long agreement, for example, to like establish and build. When you're working on these short campaigns or short-term projects or like 1-year things or like let's see how it goes, or generally speaking, those relationships are much harder to build trust on. Is that true? How can small companies working maybe with slightly more small to medium brands establish trust when you don't have the timeline of a VW Ogilvy 3-year relationship, for example, in cycles?
Look, my view on work, something Alex actually mentioned earlier as well, was that firstly, you absolutely have to really double down on showing your value. I think that we are in a landscape where some clients prefer to give agencies projects as opposed to a retainer model. But within that, you have an opportunity to really show your value through thinking beyond what that brief is. If you're getting a brief on a particular project, what if you provide more value than that actual brief? What if you add more work or ideas and other thoughts that are beyond the brief? I think ultimately it's about having a proactive mindset, to Bridget's point as well, going above and beyond what has been asked of you. And hopefully, and with time, you will, they'll keep coming back to you and you'll have that trust,
above and beyond without scope creep, which is always a disaster. All right. There are a number of questions in the Q&A that are not relevant to today's session. And I'm sorry for those who have asked questions related to marketing metrics, etc. I just like to keep the conversation focused around relationships between agencies and brands. But there is one from Andrew Marriott in the chat that I think could be quite useful. It's just looking generally about how often one should change agencies and that idea of getting too familiar or comfortable and what is comfortable and familiar. Like, what's your guys' current view on that? I know that obviously it's a strange room to be asking that question too, but I think, Bridget, you do have some strong views on it as well. I'm sure Alex as well.
Yeah, look, our governance our governance rules are every 5 years. I feel like 3 years is really quick because you spend your first year sort of understanding the cycle, and then you have a year of innovation, and then you have a year of doing the work, and then a year of innovation, and then it's all over. But I'll answer a question with a question. Is there anything wrong with being too familiar and comfortable? I mean, isn't that part of the trust relationship thing?
Knowing audiences deeply. Alex, your view? Fresh ideas is one of the suggestions. Maybe it eliminates freshness if you are too familiar.
Oh, but our talent
I
is
think
fresh.
I think if you are looking for like big results on the short term, then you're going to be schizophrenic and keep moving between one and the other. I like, if you really want to create like really in the long run, create like proper results for your brand, you have to get in the trenches and I think that one thing that I have noticed like in the past and stuff is that some brands like to keep their agencies at arm's length. Like, don't really let them like really understand what's going on inside. They have a brief, they have their different agency partners, and those go out. And because the one TV ad never got 12,000 likes more than the other on the KPIs, therefore they're shit. I think, listen, I think everyone has to be honest. I think we were talking about earlier, like what makes a good relationship, and it's like it's not just about vibes, like good vibes. I think if your client is sitting in front of their exco taking bullets because the work is not performing, that's a problem. Like, and I think that's where the real relationship comes. So I think if your agency is not giving you the right work to do things, and at least asking the right questions, I think then you should look at finding out what the issue is. And but it's easy to move around, but it's a lot harder to be honest and look at everyone and like truly reflecting, going, are we clear in what we want? Are we giving the guys the right space, the budgets, to actually achieve the goals we want? And are we working as a partnership? Like, that's why I really feel like this is a partnership. Like, I know that like Bridget and I talk all the time, and sometimes I'll call, and we have such a cool space where I can go like, listen, we haven't cracked it. Like, I know that you want to see the thing the next day, but I don't want to waste your time with work that isn't right and try and tap dance. And I think everyone knows when agencies are tap dancing, or when the work they're presenting is not in the best interest of the brand, but maybe themselves, or actually just they haven't cracked it. And that honesty really just is cool. Like, because then you can tell, like, that's where the real relationship is great. Like, I think obviously sometimes I want to do really cool shit and I have to be creative about how effective that's going to be. But that's where it is. And I think if people want to make like, if they want their brand to exist beyond them, they need to think of the long term and actually try and find a relationship, like build a relationship with people that they think is going to get them there.
Thanks, Alex. The clock's about to strike 12, so I do know people will have to drop off the call at 12 o'clock because the request is only for 1 hour, but we will close beyond 12. So those of you who need to run away, thank you so much for joining us today. This is the last Insight series of the year, so we will be in touch on Mailer with the recording of this as well, but I'll do a proper little outro of what you can expect in a bit. But I think let's just close with some final thoughts from Bridget and Nkanyezi about how we can move forward as an industry. Where are the biggest opportunities to start now building better trust and relationships between agencies and brands? Bridget, last thoughts, Nkanyezi, and then we'll close.
Yeah, I just want to circle back to the fresh ideas comment earlier. I mean, while our relationship has been 46 years, we do stay fresh by having young people coming in and out. We change the organizational structures. We have inspirational briefs, that are out there in the real world, not in a boardroom. And yeah, at the end of the day, like any relationship, it takes a lot of hard work, and it goes through peaks and flows. People irritate each other, people say the wrong things, people tread on toes. But at the end of the day, if you're all committed to making it work, and if you're all going towards the same North Star, it doesn't matter about the size of the agency, the size of the business, the size of your budgets. The output is a happy customer that is seeing great work for your brand. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Bridget. Yes, Nkanyezi, last thoughts from you.
Look, I think you just have to look at the most iconic work in advertising in the world. It comes from great, long-lasting relationships. Like I mentioned earlier, Nike, Apple, and VW in South Africa. The innovation and freshness and groundbreaking work comes from the trust that has been established, which allows people from the agency side to constantly be thinking about how to innovate as opposed to, understanding the brand, So ultimately, great relationships and longevity is what yields excellence, in my opinion.
I can definitely feel the sentiment from the chat is that a lot of the agency coming people feel that this is a brand related problem. Brands are not giving them short-term briefs or feeling like they can build up trust over time. And but I do think it sits across both levels. It's like this opportunity to say the best work is done when there was good trusting relationships and a good sense of creativity in that, and openness and dialogue. And so how can we both foster that in the way that we decide to contract, structure our teams, communicate, between brands and agencies. So yeah, a conversation that I'm sure will continue. Perhaps next year, Bridget, Alex, Nkanyezi, we can have another conversation about the sort of evolving landscapes, structures, internals, and all the pressures that are put on marketers, both in business and an agency, to deliver, to perform, to meet targets, short-term needs, digital needs, AI integrations, and all of those pressures and how they impact these relationships. But yeah, very fruitful chat, guys. Thank you so much for making time today. You're all such titans in your world, and thank you for showing us what it's like when good relationships lead to good results. And I really appreciate you guys' time today. Alex, sorry about your internet. We'll catch you on the other side. And officially, thank goodness this is the last webinar of the year, because the number of swear words that came through in today's webinar, I'm sure will never be allowed back here again on the internet. But we'll be back soon. And I'm very excited to have you guys with us in 2026 as we continue to share some insights with everybody. From me, Danilo, the IAB team, the Red and Yellow School of Creative Business, who have been responsible for bringing this webinar to life and hosting these conversations. A big thank you to Ornico as well for sponsoring, and to the Special Effects Media team for bringing this to life. We will be catching up with you guys in 2026 and sharing some insights as to what the next session of the IAB Insight series will be as we continue to learn together as an industry. So have a wonderful rest of the festive period. Thank you for your time today, everybody. And thank you to Nkanyezi for hosting our fabulous discussion today. We'll catch you in 2026. Goodbye for now.